You've been praying. You've been waiting. You've been asking God, when? When will things finally change for me? Maybe it feels like heaven has gone silent. You look around and see other people moving forward, getting the job, finding the relationship, living the life you've been dreaming of, and here you are, stuck in the waiting, and it hurts. It feels unfair. You start to wonder if maybe God forgot about you. Maybe your prayers don't matter. Maybe your story isn't as important as everyone else's. But listen to me. God's timing is not late. God's timing is not wrong. God's timing is always perfect, even when you don't understand it. Think about this. If God gave you everything you wanted the moment you asked for it, would you be ready for it? Sometimes the delay is not denial. Sometimes the waiting is protection. Sometimes the silence is God's way of preparing you for something bigger than you imagined. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Not in your time, not in my time, but in His time. And His time is never too early and never too late. But I know waiting is hard, because waiting feels like wasted time. Waiting feels like punishment. Waiting feels like you're forgotten. But what if I told you that in God's hands, waiting is never wasted? Every single moment of your waiting season is shaping you, teaching you, strengthening you, and preparing you for what's next. Don't mistake silence for absence. Don't mistake waiting for rejection. Because while you're waiting, God is working. He's opening doors you can't see yet. He's aligning people, places, and opportunities that will meet you at the exact right moment. And when it comes, it won't just be on time, it will be the perfect time. Let's go back for a moment and look at the stories of people God used in the Bible. Because when you study their lives, you realize something powerful. Almost every great miracle came after a long season of waiting. Think about Abraham. God promised him that he would be the father of many nations. But the man waited 25 years before he saw Isaac born. 25 years of hoping, of praying, of looking at the sky and wondering if God had forgotten. But when the promise came, it was in the exact time God planned, and that timing changed history. Think about Joseph. He had dreams as a teenager that God would raise him up in influence. But before the dream was fulfilled, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison. 13 long years went by before he finally stood in Pharaoh's palace. And in that moment, Joseph could look back and say, what you meant for evil, God turned for good. If Joseph had skipped the waiting, he wouldn't have had the strength and wisdom he needed to lead a nation. And then there's David, anointed to be king as a boy, but he didn't sit on the throne until many years later. In between, he faced rejection, betrayal, and battles that nearly killed him. Why? Because the waiting season was preparing him for the crown. Without the waiting, David would not have been the man after God's own heart. Even Jesus, God in the flesh, waited 30 years before he began his ministry. 30 years of silence before the world heard his voice. If the Son of God himself did not rush his timing, why do we think we have to? See, the waiting season isn't punishment. It's preparation. The promise is still alive. The blessing is still on the way. But God knows if he gave it to you too soon, it might crush you instead of grow you. He's not just preparing the blessing for you, he's preparing you for the blessing. Maybe right now you're waiting for healing, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for an answer, waiting for a door to open. And it feels like the wait is breaking you. But listen, the wait is shaping you. It's strengthening your faith. It's building endurance. It's teaching you to trust God's character more than your own calendar. The Bible says in Isaiah 40:31, but they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Notice that strength comes in the waiting. Power comes in the waiting. Renewal comes in the waiting. So don't rush the process. Don't despise the delay. Don't think silence means God has abandoned you. Behind the scenes, he's working on something so much bigger than you can see right now. And when the time is right, nothing and no one will be able to stop what God has planned for you. Right now, you may feel like you're in the middle of the longest wait of your life. You've prayed, you've cried, you've begged God for answers, and still nothing seems to move. But I want you to remember this. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean God isn't working. Think of a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, sometimes months, you see nothing. The soil looks the same, the ground feels quiet, but underneath life is taking shape. Roots are growing, foundations are being laid, and when the moment is right, that seed breaks through the surface. Not a second too early, not a second too late. That's how God's timing works. You may feel buried, but really, you're planted, and what God plants always grows. The enemy will whisper lies in the waiting. He'll tell you, it's too late. You've missed your chance. Nothing is ever going to change. But the devil is a liar, because the God who made the universe is still in control of your timeline. He knows when to open the door. He knows when to bring the right people. He knows when to answer the prayer. And when it happens, you'll see why the wait was necessary. God's delay is not God's denial. His silence does not mean absence. His timing is proof that he's writing your story with wisdom you can't yet understand. So here's my encouragement to you today. Trust him, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Trust that his ways are higher, his thoughts are greater, and his plan is always for your good. Because one day, you'll look back on this season and realize it wasn't wasted. The tears weren't wasted. The prayers weren't wasted. The waiting wasn't wasted. God was building something in you that could only come through the wait. And when his timing finally arrives, you'll see that it was worth every moment. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't walk away right before the breakthrough. Hold on, because the God who promised is faithful. And his timing, yes, his timing is always perfect. If this message spoke to your heart, I want you to do two things. First, share it with someone you know who's in a waiting season. They need this encouragement too. And second, stay connected here, because every day I want to remind you of the hope, the strength, and the love that only Jesus can give. Your story isn't over. The waiting is not wasted. And when the time is right, God will make it beautiful.